Yeah, this is the kind of plant I need for my tree.
Oh, I'll never miss it. I don't know. There's no blue light, so it doesn't look like law enforcement, but
Yeah, I mean,
it looks like just a bunch of trucks lined up.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, it looks like it's clearing up. It's just a little log jam.
Hi.
Good morning. This is like a reflecting on, I've been reflecting on, but thinking about the whole trip I had over there in Tacoma with Sarah Jane. Awesome human being, good friend, at least I think so. So I wanted to talk about what I did for her in a way that really is about addressing comments. Because just so you know, Sarah does not read her comments. She doesn't know what's going on in the comment sections of her videos. And I do, so because it's kind of fun for me. I've pretty much read all the comments under hers up until now. I think she's probably got 500 comments now. And I've been reading mine, and people are interesting. Some of the stuff that they say, and I get it. You guys are watching the videos, and most of you understand what's going on with people. Some of you think you've got some weird power, like you can determine what's going on in our minds or something by seeing us on the screen. I had somebody make a comment, Mike is severely depressed, you know. Like, no, I'm not depressed at all. Pretty happy guy. So there's weird stuff like that. First I'll deal with like the work. So the door, somebody was saying something, I should have done this or that. I've been doing this for a very, very, very long time, and I know how to set a door properly. And I didn't get into all the parts of it, but I will tell you, you know, your door, when you hang it, it's nicer when it's pre-hung like that in its own jam. I can take a door, I can make a door and fit it to an existing jam and still make it work perfectly, because I know what I'm doing. When you hang a pre-hung door, it is simpler, but there's basic things that you have to understand and do if you want that door to function correctly. And you want to start on the hinge side. You got to make sure that's plumb in both directions. And then same thing with the other side, but you get your hinge side set first, you work on closing that door, and then you adjust the other side so that you can look down it where it hits the stop and make sure that that's even up and down. If you close your door and you're hitting the stop tighter on the bottom or tighter on the top, then you have to adjust that jam in and out to get that correct. And it will be plumb when you do that. It's very important. If you don't do that, the door, you know, air is going to come through it, and water and dust and everything else. And I used like 5-inch by 1/4-inch bolts to set that door. And what you don't see, because I didn't show it, I get these weird comments, you didn't do this. Well, you didn't see every moment that I did all the work on that. Come on. Jesus Christ. This fucking idiot. Sorry. It's Los Angeles. Oh my gosh. So, anyhow, as I was saying, the streets are narrow here in town, and everybody's going to work, so yeah, so I set that with large bolts, and I shimmed it in 4 or 5 places, probably 5, along each jam. So it's perfectly set, it can't move. Somebody mentioned the spray foam's dangerous because it can push the jam. It's not, the way I set that door, I could have put a whole lot more spray foam in it. It would be impossible for it to move that jam. It's set perfect. on the screen door, the security door that she had, which is cool for security. I know people are nervous about Sarah, and she mentioned how people just come up and knock on her door, and I'll get into that. But when you're behind bars, I see this in LA. I mean, I've been removing bars from windows out here for a long time, which is kooky because it's even more dangerous now than it was when I moved here over 30 years ago. But when you're in your own house and you're looking through bars, that is a psychological thing that screws with your head. It's like living in a mess or something's too cluttered. I know all about that, right? So her steel door that she has now is better than the door she had in there before, and now that door has its own deadbolt and all of that, so she's secure in there. Of course, if her screen is closed and she has her door open, that's a different story. You know, but that could happen anywhere. That could happen right here in the city. I don't think Tacoma is more dangerous than Los Angeles. So, you know, can something happen? Sure. But she's not that concerned with it. She's very happy, actually. And she's going to be more happy as she lives with it. Of course, it's the winter time now. Obviously, they're going to have warm days there. The shade covers that were constructed before I got there, you may have heard her say something along the lines of the one beam was sagging. I don't think that big timber was actually sagging. I think if you were looking at the front door of the main house, there's the beams that come out, and it squares off at the back corner of the house. The two beams at the front door, the first one and the next one, they both look like they're sagging. But I don't think that they're sagging. I think that they just, stupid people. I think that they were placed crown down. See, when you sight your timbers, you got to crown them, meaning you have to sight them, and there's going to be a crown up or down. And you always want to put crown up. So those first two, I think they just put them crown down, and all the rest of them I sighted, they were crown up. So that was just either they didn't know and they got lucky on the other ones, or they were just lazy on the first ones. I don't know if they started there or not, but those two are definitely crowned down. Which, you know, led to me thinking, you know, it's probably a good idea to put those 45s in, which aesthetically, they're beautiful. But yes, they perform a couple functions, namely, they shorten the span, and they provide rigidity for racking. Hang on a second, supposed to be a check waiting for me here. Woohoo! Nice. So I can get some material and get this thing started. Yesterday I had to pick up a skylight. It's like a 4-foot light, so it's larger than that, and I didn't realize. Yeah, I had to put it up on the roof of the van, and that thing was too heavy for me to do by myself. So I wrangled the guy in the parking lot who helped me out. And then when I installed it, I had to back my van all the way up to this garage. And you guys know I've got the deck up there, so I was able to roll the skylight onto the roof and slide it on. Which, the cool thing about that was it made me realize when I go to do the job, I can put all my tools on the roof and back in and get them from that. It'll be easier. Anyhow, back to Sarah's. Yeah, so the posts and everything, that was a good thing. I used like 5 or 6 inch lag bolts, and I created like a mortise with a paddle bit. You got to go in with the square and then tip the bit up and get it in, because you know you're going to go on that angle. It all worked out great. I had to pre-drill everything. Eliza was helping me, and I did go through and I put the drill bit right in the corner of my hand. That could have been a stigmata thing. I felt it, moved my hand just right away, but that could have went right through the palm of my hand. I was using like a foot-long drill bit. Anyhow, that all worked out great. So the screen door is in. I don't think you see that in her video, but you do see it in mine for a minute. It's funny. It's not, you know, this is, excuse me, it's an aluminum screen door. It's nothing special. But installing a screen door is really tedious the way it comes with the hardware and everything. So, but we made it work, and I made it extra better, extra gooder. Added a bunch of extra screws and whatnot. I made it stout. It works flawlessly. So that worked out okay. Typically out here in Los Angeles, when I do that, I make a screen door, but it's a lot of money for me to do that. Like, I will mill vertical grain, cypress, and put a large panel on the bottom, and, you know, not doing that for her. She needed to get this stuff done. Oh, and also, just again, on the work, I did not go there to make money. I had spoken with her about it. I see what she's going through there. It really jumped out at me when I saw what the guys did. I'm not throwing them under the bus, right? That was a lot of hard work that they did. Apparently, the story I heard was they didn't realize how big of a job it was. There was a little bit of mini drama going on with the fellas that were there. But they poured concrete, you know, footings for the posts. They used 4x6 posts. They used all the bracketry. You could tell a contractor did it because he did what you kind of have to do to pass code, where you put all the hurricane brackets in and everything. But it was one of those things where it wasn't really done correct. If you were to look at the way the posts are set on the footings, none of them are centered. Some of them are twisted. The timbers that they got, I don't know. I'm assuming that they didn't hand select them. Dude, just get out of the road there, man. People walking into the road looking at their phone, not realizing I'm coming. I will run you over. I'll scrape you off like a bug on the front of the vehicle. A dead bug. So, you know, it looks clean. It's like those TV shows, those home improvement shows where everything looks good on your TV, but when you go and look at it, you're like, holy crap, what the hell was that guy thinking? So there was a lot of twisting going on. The beams were all butted above joists, and they weren't attached to one another. No toe screws or bolts or plates. There's a plate on the top of the post that grabs the two timbers, right, where they're butted, but those aren't attached. That's why I put those other plates in. Yeah, just, you know. Anyhow, and you can see how those 45s dress it up. It makes it look a lot better. And those doors on the laundry room were already there. I just made them a little bit better. I put a barrel bolt in the bottom of the one door because it was hung all wacky. The doors aren't constructed correctly. So that pulled everything vertical, which allowed me to put a stop on that. So the other door closed flush to it. So there was a little extra work going on there. The chicken wire I put up in there. She should probably stack stone inside that space along the foundation there as well to keep the critters out. You see what you're doing there. You see what you're doing. What else? I mean, that's about it for the work. It was interesting. Sarah's sister Eliza, come on, let's go. Jesus Christ, Tesla. Sarah's sister Eliza's awesome. It's so funny. She doesn't care about being on the screen, not into it necessarily. And she'll say, at one point she said that she was shy, and I said, wait a sec, I've been out with you every night. You're not shy at all. You're talking to everybody. And she went, well, yeah, you're right. She's a sweetheart, man. Super cool. As I was saying, I didn't go there to make money. And it was a pretty good deal for me because, I mean, they put me up. They took me out every night, either bought me dinner or brought me someplace to eat dinner. The Villa Anita or Casa Anita, I keep getting that messed up. Those guys cook gourmet food. That was really cool and wonderful. That might put some of you off. You know, I don't have a problem with those guys. I've been friends with a lot of people here in Los Angeles like that, very flamboyant, you know, gay guys. I don't care about any of that. You know, if you're a good human being, you're a good human being. That's all that matters to me. And those guys are really nice, good human beings. So I had a good time, and I would go back. And if they ever needed help with something on their own place, I would go back and work on that. I got to pop in the bank here real quick. All right, I'm running some errands this morning. I'm off the sugar, but they had some Halloween candy in there. I go to a Polish credit union. Funny story about that. When I went into it, it's only 2 blocks from my pad. I thought you had to be Polish to be in the credit union. Arr. And so I'm in there and I'm talking to the girl. I'm like, well, my dad's Greek and my mom's a mix. I'm pretty sure we got some Polish in there. And then this, you know, Asian lady walks up next to me, and the next one just starts doing her banking, and I'm like, oh. I thought you had to be Polish. The funny thing about being a Polish credit union, one time I made a big deposit, and the gal at the counter put my money in somebody else's account, and I went home the next day, checked, I didn't have any money in my account, and I went back in there, I was like, what the hell's going on? And she realized she put all my money in somebody else's account. And I made the obvious joke. Well, it is a Polish credit union. They love me in there. They really do, actually. All nice, really nice ladies. Anyhow, I went off on a tangent there. So yeah, I didn't go there to make money. They took me out every day. They fed me. They thoroughly entertained me. I don't know if they do that with everybody. I spoke with Sarah last night about it, and we were talking about how we were both pretty tired, and her sister was pretty beat up, and that's not their normal thing. But there was a lot to do, and it was fun. She wanted to make sure she also covered my gas money and whatnot, so she did give me a couple dollars, but I did not bill them. I didn't charge them for my time. It would have been a little bit, you know, she kept saying to me before I came out, every time I talked to her, oh, we'll pay your rate. We want to get this stuff done. And I never talked to her about that, because if I would have told her what my rate is here in Los Angeles, she would have just shut it down. And it was a subject that came up while I was there. So they know what I charge people, and they understand my scale. And I actually explained charging, not just how I do it, but I explained to her that a lot of guys, if they come in and they're charging you by the hour, like that's what they're doing, the job's going to take longer. They're going to milk it, and that's how that works. So I typically will charge by the job. But when I'm figuring the job, I figure hourly in my, you know, on paper, how many, you know, I figure, if you break my day down to the hour, it's X. And I try to figure out how many days. So when you think about it, you do kind of work things out by the hour. People just leave their doors open. And because I would speak in certain terms, but they're not hearing it that way. They're hearing it in their mind. So I had to kind of lay that out, explain it to her. They did have an issue apparently with the guys that did the shade covers, where in the end, one guy was a little disgruntled, I guess, and then started charging them a fee that's even more than what I charge. But he's charging them like he's a contractor that had, you know, insurance and overhead and employees and that sort of thing. It was a pretty high number. It's what I should be charging. I think he was charging $85 an hour basically, and that's what I should really be charging. I charge a little less than that if I'm working it that way. It really depends. Like some jobs I'm going to do way better than that because I charge by the job. The reason you want to charge by the job is, and figure it a little on the high end, is it almost never goes according to plan. So if you can get the job done quicker, theoretically more money goes in your pocket. You just make more money. And if you end up doing a lot more work that you didn't really anticipate, hopefully you're still kind of covered on your time. I don't like having to go back to somebody and say, hey, here's what I told you it was going to cost, but now it's going to cost you a little bit more. I prefer not to do that. That very rarely ever happens. Anyhow, that's the story. As far as Tacoma goes and being in the desert and all that, that's a harsh environment to live in. It is very dry. You are breathing a lot of dust. Whenever the... Dude, I almost just killed that scooter because I was getting over. So you're breathing dust, and if it gets windy, you're really breathing dust. The water's very hard. You know, that place will age you. Everybody that lives there, you can just see it. It dries your skin out. It thins your skin out. Living in that harsh environment, and then the temperature swings, because it got into the 40s at night, and it could be in the low 80s in the daytime. I mean, that's a 40-degree difference in 24 hours. Come on. Man, this is really bad today on the road. I mean, it always has the potential to be bad here, but horrible. So, yeah, that's a tough place to live. And like I said, they don't drink their water. They need a filter system. They got to figure that out. But overall, it was really cool. I really enjoyed the people that I met. Dan over at the Death Valley Brewing Company. Joe over at the barbecue brewery. I forget the guy's name now, at the steak joint. I mean, just, man, it was really, really something else. For that little town, I come from a seasonal tourist type town. It's exactly the same vibe. The amount of quality food in this place, it just blew my mind. And the people, you know, really, really nice. Now, I know some of you watching my channel are here, like, you know, I did the art with Sabo, and, you know, I'm a red-blooded veteran, you know, American blue-collar guy, and, you know, I wouldn't go and say I'm an outright Republican or anything like that. I don't care about the politics too much. I'm kind of middle of the road, really. I'm an issues guy. On some issues, ardent, you know, conservative. But I have some hardcore liberal tendencies too, you know. I mean, I'm a normal human being. You have to look at every issue. So I didn't get into any of that with those people, but yeah, it's obvious that a lot of the people there, you know, they're leaning that way, you know what I'm saying? And that's okay with me. I don't care about it. I didn't bring it up. When it would come up where you could feel like, not necessarily somebody's baiting you, that happens out here a lot, I just avoided it altogether. And the way I look at it, and I've said this before in my other videos, you should be an ambassador as a human being. Treat yourself like you're an ambassador. So if people get to like you, they like who you are, you make them laugh, you're having a good time, you're having a good conversation, and then they later discover that you are 180 degrees opposed to them on some political issue, well, now they can say to themselves, wow, I don't agree with him on that, but he's a really nice guy, or she's a really nice gal. That's the way you do it. If you start talking to somebody and automatically get into the politics, well, now you're shut down. That person's never gonna get to know you well enough, because they've already decided they don't like you just because you don't think the same way they do on a particular issue. So my advice to you when you're meeting new people is don't get into that crap. Leave it alone. Let it come up later. And once they get to know you and they know that you are smart and articulate and a kind human being, then when they hear you say something that they're diametrically opposed to, they're more apt to listen to what your perception is on it, you know, why you think that way. Because then you can share your experience. Because not everybody has the same human experience, you know. So I think that pretty much covers it. It was awesome. Again, very harsh environment. My skin has been peeling on my face everywhere. I mean, it's been rough. It's been very strange getting back used to being here in LA. You know, that was an odd thing. Oh, and the drive out, not such a big deal, really. I don't mind that it happened because it gave me the chance to have an adventure in the van. It is what I built the van for. So, you know, 4x4 works. I didn't show you all the gnarly parts as you know already if you watch my videos. I mention this a lot. The camera doesn't typically reveal how bad it is. That hill I had to go up was pretty vertical, and we didn't really see as I was walking up that gully. At points it was almost waist deep. It was over my thigh deep, that gully. So if I would have went in that, it would have been totally screwed. And what also didn't read on camera was there was a pretty sharp drop off on that ridge line, or not a ridge line, but that road I was on along the side of the mountain. And backing up, there were some big boulders that I had gotten by, just barely got by. So backing past those was a little, you got to be careful. And I didn't scratch the van or anything doing that. I did get some new pinstripes though. So yeah, great trip. The ride back sucked only because I lost 2 hours in the desert. I was already tired and beat up of 7 days of awesomeness. I couldn't wait to get back. I was pretty beat up. I blew the whole van out with my air compressor yesterday. Got a lot of the dust out of here, but it's not perfect. Blew off the dash and everything. I got to wipe things down, give this van a once over. But that's it. I just wanted to give you guys a quick, 25 minutes in now, letting you know. And look, Sarah and I are friends. Believe it or not, I'm an evolved human being. I can be friends with women. I have a lot of women friends. A lot of my women friends are women I dated way back, decades ago, 30, 40, some of them 50 years ago, and I'm still friends with them, even the ones that got married and had kids and all of that. I like women, most of them. I just can't be around them all the time because of the cackling, the nonstop talking. That's a thing. I need my head. I need to rest my mind from time to time every day. That's why I like living alone. But yeah, so I can be friends with Sarah. It's totally cool. I like the funny nature of what people think is going on. I didn't go out there thinking I was going to get laid or something like that. I've done plenty of it. That's not something I feel like I need to do all the time. So I'd like to do more of it. I am single. But Sarah, I look at Sarah as a buddy, like a good pal. That's how I see it. But I will say, being out there, pretty much every night there was an opportunity if I wanted to work that angle. But I'm living in this travel trailer, and I'm showering at the bathhouse, which is a thing. That's an uncomfortable situation there. It's not co-ed. You're better off, if you're going to get naked around people, you're better off it being a co-ed thing, with the hot tubs and the showers and everything. Because when it's segregated, the men's section, there's always going to be a percentage of dudes there that are hounding. You know what I mean? They're looking for action from other guys, and that vibe was definitely there. It was a little uncomfortable. It was a subject that came up. The topic came up every night with the dudes I was meeting. They would bring it up that they've been there and they've had those issues too. I was just trying to take a shower and guys were trying to talk to me and walking in and looking at me and stuff like that. So that's not cool. But the facility is nice. Nice enough, for what it is. And yeah, it was really cool. If I was there, I'd be doing fine. You know what I'm saying? There's actually women out there. It's kind of cool. Oh, and look, people do show up at Sarah's place. If you're going to show up there, you really should try to get to know her first. Like, send her an email, try to contact her, make sure you get messages back from her directly telling you what's up. She's extremely busy. She really does put in hours and hours and hours every single day working on her videos. Plus, she's trying to have a life. It's not cool to just show up there unannounced, not knowing her, and going up onto her property and knocking on the doors. Who does that? That's really not cool. She will be gracious. When you see her out, there's a lot of people that come to Tacopa hoping just to meet her. And that happened. There was a couple times. One guy in particular that she ran into, and he'd been there for a week just hoping to meet her. And he did. And it made his whole trip. So that's cool. Go to Tacopa, hopefully you'll see her out. But going to her pad, it's not really cool unless she already knows you're coming. They're women, man. It's 2 women living there by themselves. They don't know you. They don't know what your real intentions are. And I can handle it. right? So it is a funny thing being on YouTube because people will approach you at times, even here in LA where there's 12 to 14 million people. From time to time, somebody walks right up to me and starts talking to me because they've watched me on one of my videos or saw me on Wonderhussy's videos, right? I'm not super off-put by it. They sometimes catch me at a bad time where I'm doing something else, thinking about something else. My mind is somewhere else, and I explain that directly at that moment. Sarah is such a nice human being. She doesn't like doing that. She wants to be gracious about it, and I saw her do it. And then she'll do that, but then when she's done with that, she'll be like, oh, yeah. I'm not picking on Sarah. That's a normal human thing. But she's acting one way, and she'll then, with her friends, be like, oh my God, here it is again. Because it eats into her day and a lot of her time. So something to be mindful of. She wants to meet everybody when it's appropriate for her timing-wise. If you're just showing up, you could be catching her at a bad moment. So keep that in mind. And keep in mind that they're concerned because they don't know somebody could be dangerous or something like that, right? But I think mostly it's just a time issue with her. So just something to be mindful of. She's awesome. I saw her, every person she talked to, everybody she knows there, she's super nice, super gracious, all of it. But when you're doing that, that does take a lot out of you. It's 30 minutes of a video. Now you're listening to me blather in the front of my van. So, I think we could all be like that. I know that when I'm talking a lot to people several days in a row, my clients going out, everything else, it wears on me after a while. I enjoy it. I can be a social person, but, we're not all thinking the same way. We're not all really on the same page. That's all I'm saying. But overall, it was an awesome trip. I talked to her last night. I'm going back. They're going to come up with a list of stuff. I told her the next time I go back, I'll take a day or so and go in that Quonset hut and organize all the hot rod stuff. Maybe blow it off, clean things up so she's got an area where she could deal with that better and get pictures and try to sell that stuff. She could definitely make some money on it. And obviously there's still a bunch of work to do there. A lot of carpentry and handy guy stuff, that sort of thing. I could probably live in Tacopa and survive doing that there. It's a harsh environment, so it's always going to need work. But as you know, I have that house in Huachuca City, Arizona, which I have to get back to and do some work on that. And I'm possibly going to move there at some point. I mean, I'm pretty sure I will. LA's getting a little played out for me. I've been here a long time. So who knows how that's all going to go. Went a little bit all over the place. If you've been here before, you're used to it by now. But yeah, great time with Sarah. We are pals. I'll be back. You'll see more content with the two of us hanging out, laughing, having a good old time. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you all. Be good to one another.